In the last few years, we've seen a massive shift in the fitness and weight loss world. And let's be honest, it's been because of one thing: drugs that make this easy. Take a shot once a week and voila. People who struggled their entire lives to lose weight, the so called weight loss resistant, the food addicts, the sugar addicts, they're dropping pounds, keeping it off, and finally feeling in control. GLP-1s have absolutely taken this industry by storm. And honestly, that's amazing. These medications are helping people who have felt stuck for decades finally see progress. But here's the thing. Now it's time to find balance because even with these tools, we can't just throw away the fundamentals. Nutrition, movement, recovery, metabolism, they still matter. You can't outsource a healthy lifestyle to a shot. You still have to understand your body, your data, and how to make sustainable progress, whether you're using GLP-1s or not. And for those of you choosing not to use them, you need clear, evidence-based strategies for how to lose fat, build muscle, and actually decode what's going on under the hood through proper testing, not guesswork. Which brings us to today's conversation, one that cuts through some of the most misunderstood topics in fitness: reverse dieting myths, metabolic recovery, performance blood work, and how to identify the real constraints holding you back. And there's no one better to unpack this than with my guest today, Philip Pape. Philip is a high performance nutrition coach, physique engineer, and host of the Wits and Weights podcast, one of the top 25 nutrition podcasts out there. Through his own transformation to become the strongest, leanest, and healthiest version of himself, he's learned how to use strength training and evidence-based nutrition to help people finally look like they lift. He works with busy lifters and high performers who want to do more with less, break through plateaus, optimize metabolism and recovery, and feel good in their bodies without feeling restricted. Today, we're going to be diving deep into the world of reverse dieting, how performance blood work can reveal hidden constraints, to what it actually means to reach optimal health, not just normal on a lab sheet. So, Philip, my friend, welcome back to the show.
That was quite an introduction.
I
Every
know,
time I'm
I
blown
like
away.
it.
Yeah. And I'm like, I want to hear about all that stuff too. So
Right?
we can get into it.
Who are you talking to,
Yeah, I
Karen?
know.
You are the guy though. And I love your very well-rounded approach to diet and nutrition and exercise. You really take into consideration hormones, which of course I really appreciate. You're also very open-minded to using GLP-1s and using them properly and in conjunction with doing all the right things.
There's two things that come to mind, right? One is the question or the answer, I don't know. I think the most important scientific question is, do I know this and am I wrong? That's what comes to mind. I recently spoke to Dr. Eric Helms about the fitness industry and everything we think we know. And
Yeah.
when GLP-1s came out, I like many had that gut reaction of like, oh, this is a shortcut and this
Yeah.
is, everybody trying to skirt the process. And I've had to be more open-minded than I've ever tried to be. And that's hard because I can be a know-it-all and like, hey, once I learn something, I want to shout it from the rooftops from my podcast, but I can go back on older episodes and say, I disagree with that guy. Like today,
Right.
from what
Yeah.
I
Same.
know,
Yeah.
but that's part of the human, condition that we're constantly learning. So everything we talk about today comes from that spirit of always learning and always growing. And these are just tools. And these are just, ways that we learn about ourselves and keep getting healthier.
And be willing to say that you've changed your mind on something,
Yeah.
which is huge. Like I am such a I don't know, people would say I'm very opinionated.
It's okay to have a strong
And in
opinion,
my
right?
older years, I have tried to become less opinionated
Yeah.
and have really worked on going, I am open-minded. I want to stay open-minded to everything. And it's like, give me your case on whatever it is, and I'm going to take it into consideration and put my own stuff aside and my own opinions aside and be open-minded, which I don't think many people can do that actually.
It's a skill. It's kind of like public speaking that we were talking about. It's like, there's humility is hard to come by too. And I almost think if you say you're humble, maybe you're not, but there is an aspect of I need to be confident and I need to keep learning and learning and learning. But the more I learn, the older I get, the more I know I don't know. I don't know what I don't know either. Like there's information I've just never learned. And I'm excited about that because it means to the day I die, there's something I'm going to learn in this world.
Yeah, yeah. And you know what? When I was writing the show or my questions for today's interview with you, that actually got brought up because I have spoken a lot about reverse dieting.
Mm.
And I think you have a different take on it that's more, I think, science based and also clinical based from experience. And so I had to be like, oh, I need to stay open minded here to what he's going to say about reverse dieting because I
Hmm.
don't think it's the way I used to think about it or used to teach it. And so let's just first, what is reverse dieting? Because I think a lot of people actually don't even know what reverse dieting might be.
I mean, reverse dieting is magic, Karen. It's magic. No, I'm just reverse dieting is the idea of gradually increasing calories so that you can eat more and more. And then usually that's taken to the level, to the claim that you can eat so much that you increase your metabolism and can lose fat from higher calories. Like that's the general premise of reverse dieting. The other premise is, okay, your metabolism is broken or it's suppressed or whatever word you're trying to use, and we need to fix it. And therefore you need to eat more and get up to your true maintenance calories. And there's truths in all of that, but it's how it's marketed and how it's approached that I think is inefficient and sometimes just plain wrong. And it causes a lot of people to then gain a bunch of fat and be like, this doesn't work. What the heck's going on? It creates more confusion and frustration.
I know in the past when I used to do a lot of weight loss coaching, I got super into reverse dieting through the Ray Peat world, which I'm sure,
Mhm.
are you familiar with Dr. Ray Peat?
Yeah, I thought you said RP, but yes, repeat. Yes.
Yes. And so I interviewed some people that were big followers of him that had been in the dieting world for years and years, had like destroyed their metabolism. And I think we should explain that to people. It's the concept of and what actually happens when you're constantly in this caloric deficit year after year after year. Your metabolic rate will slow down to match that intake of calories. And so you just have to keep going lower and lower to try to lose the weight and be in a caloric deficit because and your metabolism just gets lower and lower. And so your basal metabolic rate starts to slow down. And so the idea from a lot of different practitioners, doctors like Dr. Ray Peat was no, no, eat all the time and eat sometimes hot. Some of it was like drink orange juice, drink milk, which
Right.
was just was like, no. In order to rev the metabolism up. And so people would go on these diets and reverse diet. And then you're right, they would be like gaining weight. And there was a way to kind of do this in a proper way, not okay, start eating ice cream and drinking orange juice in order to rev up your metabolism, which people were doing,
Mhm.
which is just like horrifying.
So yeah, so where do we want to start? We want to start with what's really happening because
Yes.
metabolic adaptation is not a big mystery. I just want to say it's a simple thing to understand in that it happens from two things: losing weight and the adaptation itself from being in a calorie deficit, right? So the losing weight part is okay, you've been in a fat loss phase or a calorie deficit, whether you've done it right or not. And to me, right is you hold on to your muscle, and wrong is you lose your muscle, which we don't want to do. You are going to lose some amount of weight, right? Let's say it's 5, 10, 20, maybe you lost 50 pounds. You're a lighter version of yourself. So you're just carrying around less body mass. You're going to burn fewer calories. That by itself is never going to change. If you're going to walk around this earth 50 pounds lighter now, that's the trade-off you've made is you burn a few less calories from being lighter. That's okay. The other piece though is what really concerns people because as soon as you go into a deficit, your thyroid production goes down, your leptin and ghrelin try to make you eat more, your reproductive hormones start to slow down. And again, it depends on the severity of the deficit. If
Mhm.
you're 250, 500 calorie deficit, for most people, that's right in that window of your body knows that it's under resourced, but it's not so much that it like sends off the alarm bells and like shuts everything down. When you crash diet, or if you're on GLP-1s and you're not training and you're losing gobs and gobs of weight, that is where the hormone, the clamping down of the hormones, right, ramps up significantly. not to mention you're probably losing muscle again if you're not training. So when that all happens, it depends on how long you've been in the diet in terms of how long you can recover. You know what I mean? Like the Biggest Loser contestants, they did it so severely, so long, it took them years and years and years to recover, if they did. But many of you have been dieting on, let's say, 1,200 calories or 1,000 calories. There's like magic numbers for years. And I would say 6 months is a reasonable expectation of decent recovery. It's not going to happen in like 3 weeks, right? And it's not going to happen necessarily in 5 years either. So the metabolic adaptation, once you understand that, you can say then, what is the point of reverse dieting? Well, really the point is to get out of the deficit. That's it. It's not to build up your metabolism to some number that it can't actually be. It's not to magically be able to lose fat on higher calories. It's just to get out of the deficit so all your hormones come back to normal and your metabolism is firing kind of at that set point. And then you can go from there and make your next decision. So I just kind of wanted to clear that out, that like the purpose of reverse dieting is noble, but like the way we go about it is sometimes it takes too long, or we don't actually recover, or we go overshoot and we gain too much fat and too much weight. And some people are like, what the heck do I do? And that's where we can dive in on like, what's the alternative to reverse dieting?
And do you think that this is absolutely necessary for the majority of dieters to do this, in the sense of, let's say I've been eating 1,200 calories for years, every day, and I'm watching everything that I put in my mouth, which so many women do this. They are like fanatical, and it's 1,200 calories, no more. If they start eating more and not paying attention and just kind of going, okay, I need to rebuild my metabolism, I'm just going to start eating more. Do they typically gain weight?
They do, because
they're not being strategic.
Because it's not about the calories. It's about the psychology and the physiology. The calories are just kind of the final thing that you put into the equation once you've dialed in the other things. So what do I mean by that? Well, the psychology is, are you a restrictive dieter? Are you obsessed with the scale itself? Like, is that the thing driving you? Those psychological issues, I mean, you know this, you talk about it all the time. We have to address those. But then there's the physiology. It's like, okay, if you increase calories, let's say your mental state is good. Let's say you increase your calories. Let's say you even know how much you burn and you bring up your calories immediately to that point, which is what I would recommend. Bring it right up. If you're then not lifting weights and you're not walking regularly and you're not, eating enough fiber and protein, again, you're going to be behind the 8 ball, because the nutrients aren't going to go where you want. They're not going to go to building muscle. They're going to go to fat, right? Your metabolism's not going to recover that much because you're not moving that much, and on and on. So it's like the psychology and the physiology. If you can get the lifestyle piece, kind of like in your intro, you talked about lifestyle goes with the tool. Yeah. Then the tool is bring in that energy, bring in those calories, bring them from the right place. And now you've got everything firing. So that's when I say recovery. So the term I use is recovery diet, which is like an industry term as well, instead of reverse diet. And with a recovery diet, you've been tracking like a few weeks and you know what your metabolism is right now. And that gives you the confidence to jump your calories up to that level. But you have to be doing the other things to ensure the full recovery physiologically over the next few months as your metabolism then starts to creep up to where it should be.
And you think that people need to be very careful when they're doing this and very strategic about it, or else they'll overshoot and gain weight?
Yeah, the strategic piece is on those lifestyle aspects more than the calories. I've done episodes that are like, hey, if the calories take too long to recover, you're not going to recover as well. Do you know why? Because if you're burning 2,000 calories right now, okay, let's step back. Let's say before you ever dieted, you burned 2,500 calories. And then through the dieting process, you didn't know this was happening, but adaptation occurred. And now you're down to 1,800, right? And you're eating something less than that, right? Maybe you're eating 1,600, 15, 14, 12, whatever. Now, if you haven't been losing weight lately, you're actually eating right at your current maintenance. You know what I mean? You're not, like, if you're eating 1,200 and you're not losing weight, then you're technically burning 1,200. So that's like the most suppressed we can talk about here. But let's say you're burning 1,800, you're eating a little bit less than that, maybe slowly losing weight, whatever. If you know you're at 1,800, the goal is to then jump right to 1,800 or a little bit higher. Do the lifestyle things. And what should happen is you're going to recover eventually back to that 2,500, or a little bit less because you might weigh less, or a little bit more because you have more muscle, because you're walking more than you used to, right? So it's like all these pieces that affect your metabolism. I think I answered your question. I can ramble, I could
Well,
just,
I'm
I could just
I'm
ramble.
so into this kind of stuff because I spent my whole life
Yeah.
trying to lose weight. And there was just so much garbage out there that just never applied to me or the people that I was working with, that were the whole calorie in, calorie out just never worked. And it was more so
Mm.
that we would change our set point, right? So if we were eating 1,200 calories a day, our weight set point would go down, but then it would just stop, and that's where it was,
Hmm.
and it would stay there for years. And then if you tried to eat more, you would just gain weight. But if you could change the set point by doing recovery dieting, then you could change that set point, and then like I just got to a place myself where I no longer tracked calories. There would be up, down. It wouldn't matter as long as I was eating well and healthy. The calories no longer mattered and never affected my weight. My weight stayed the same for
Yeah.
10 years and I never tracked calories.
Yeah. And there's, again, this is where it has to be, you have to be open-minded and think about what's going on. I mean, our bodies are very complex. We're all very different. And no one's saying that you can't maintain, gain, lose weight without tracking calories. Of course you can. It doesn't, though, negate the fact that energy balance is
The
reality.
thing. Yeah.
But what people fail to realize is that it's not fixed. In other words, your metabolism is so dynamic,
Right.
and even how much you eat and when and how you eat affects your metabolism. So it's like the one variable is affecting the other. They're not independent. It would be nice if they were, and you could just change this and then change this and see how it works. To address one of the things you mentioned is the fear of, now you're suppressed. Now you start eating more. Now your weight pops up.
Yeah.
One of the things at least we teach, I just did a workshop on this, is that first 2 to 3 weeks, you're going to have an increase in weight from water. You absolutely are, because you're eating more food and you're eating more carbs. Whether it's a lot of carbs or just more carbs, the point is carbs cause glycogen to be stored in your muscles and your liver, and each gram of glycogen holds 3 to 4 grams of water. So if you
Mm.
did the math for an average size female, that could be 2, 3, 4 pounds of scale weight gain. That's pure fluid. And I always try to play the math game. And I'm like, look, if you increased your calories by 200 a day, but it takes 3,500 calories to gain a pound of fat, does that compute? Like, do you think this is all fat? Now, emotion's very strong,
Yeah.
but that's the thing. So even though we're talking energy balance, energy in your body is independent of water in your body. And so the water is fluctuating like this, like pounds at a time, while your energy level is staying the same, the energy stored in your fat and your tissue. So that's where a lot of this confusion comes from, where I'm like, you got to be patient in that first 3 weeks, accept that there's a pop back up in the scale. And people have gone through cuts and bulks over and over. They
Yep.
see the top and the bottom. They see what happens when they end a bulk. They drop weight really quickly, and then it kind of stabilizes. When
Yep.
they end a cut, they gain weight really quickly, but then it stabilizes. So you
Okay.
kind of have to get past that point, accept that, and then you can see what the true trend is in your recovery, from that point.
So how would somebody do this then? If you're talking to the woman that has chronically
Mhm.
dieted and she wants to bring up her calories,
Yeah.
are, are we doing it in 200 calorie increments?
The way I like to do it, so I use an app called MacroFactor. You can do this in a
Yeah.
spreadsheet if you're nerdy and mathy, but a lot of people aren't going to be doing this.
Yeah. Okay.
So MacroFactor, I wish there were more food loggers that can do this, and maybe there will be at some point. But what it does is it takes the food you log and it takes the weight you log and takes the trend in those, not the day to day, but the trend, compares them and says, okay, this is your metabolism based on what you're eating and what you weigh. And it accounts for all the weird algorithmic things like water weight and all that. So step one, if you want to do this and you're listening, just start tracking for like 2 or 3 weeks and don't change anything. Just track. Let it figure you out. Let it figure out, okay, I'm truly burning 1,600 calories right now. And I'm truly eating 1,600, and maybe that's why nothing's changing right now. And then you can say, okay, I want to recover. So I'm going to listen to what Philip said about gaining, 3 pounds, and I'm going to assume my maintenance weight is 3 pounds heavier than I am right now. And I'm going to set my goal to maintain at 3 pounds heavier than I am. And then let the app kind of give you targets that's based on your current metabolism, which should be around 1,600 calories, right? Based on our example. And then we have to talk about the 5 pillars of lifestyle that go with that you
Okay.
need to do. That once you do that over the next few weeks, the calories should come up as your expenditure goes up. So your metabolism should climb and then your calories climb, not the other way around. You're not just increasing calories, randomly, like reverse dieting would have you do.
Yeah.
You're actually kind of following what's really happening with your body. And that's how you avoid gaining fat, gaining extra weight. So, I mean, the 5 pillars are super obvious. You could probably rattle them off yourself. It's going to be strength training. It's going to be movement. It's nutrition. And nutrition, what I mean by that is like quality of nutrition, good balance, macros, enough protein and fiber. And now I'm going to shoot myself in the foot because my brain is going blank on the other two. You can help me out here. Sleep and stress, obviously. Yes. In fact, I usually have it ordered: sleep, stress, training,
Yeah.
walking, or NEAT,
Right.
and then nutrition. I actually put nutrition at the bottom in this, believe it or not, because everybody's so focused on that. Like they know they're going to work on that. I need you to like put your priority on the other stuff that we tend to neglect, like sleep, because they will have a big impact on that metabolism recovery.
Nutrition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
you're right, because even when you start lifting weights and you start walking and you reducing your stress and you're sleeping well, that if you can focus on those first, I think they help then with
Mm-hmm.
better nutrition.
It's upward spiraling. It's the way I like to look at it. A
Ah,
little nudge in one,
which
nudges
is quite
another,
different from what
nudges
most people say.
another.
It's mostly like you can't outrun a bad diet,
Right.
right? We hear that all
Yeah.
the time, but I like this way better. And it goes back to that concept of, if you don't have the foundation of, like, for instance, if we're talking hormones, like if your thyroid's sluggish, you can be doing all of these things and not getting anywhere because you don't feel like exercising because you're tired. So you go and you work out and you have these poor workouts and you're not putting on any muscle and you're just like, "Ugh," right? So it's like, get your body to a place where it wants to eat well, or it's more
Yes.
to, more, it's going to be more driven to go, oh, I think I actually want to eat well, and I feel like eating protein. Because your body does. It's very interesting when you start to clean up everything, how the body will start to call out for, oh, I need a steak
Oh
right now.
yeah. Or even broccoli. Like I crave vegetables
Yes.
sometimes. It's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, which most people don't think that happens, and it does.
It does. Something really good came up. Okay, so I'm putting together a challenge for the end of the year, right? A finish strong challenge, and it's very different than most challenges because what I thought like, what does everybody do during the holidays? They backslide, right? They
Yeah.
like that's when we gain all the weight. That's when we go off the rails. We're like, well, I can't stick to whatever, so
And
F
we
it,
give ourselves permission
We
to go
give
off
ourselves-
rails. Yeah.
And so I'm like, what would be a better challenge than like, let's lose fat for the holidays? Because nobody's going to do that. And I thought, why don't you have a bailout strategy? Okay, so we talk in terms of optimum and minimum, right? And I do
Yeah.
that a lot. I talk about minimum effective dose. What if we have something below minimum that's like a bailout strategy where if sleep is your focus and you can't even get the hours of sleep and you can't even get the sleep quality, you still have some bailout thing that's a win that is better than the zero you would have had. And I'm just, again, always trying to
Okay.
play with people's psychology here
Yeah.
because, again, everybody listening knows about their history, that you decide right now, I'm going to clean everything up. And you literally try to clean everything up.
Oh, I
And that's the
know. All
problem.
or nothing. Yeah.
It's the
Yeah.
and I'm not, and then I'm like, even people who hear that message, they'll do like 50% or nothing. That might be too much. So that's why where I'm going with all this is these pillars we talk about. It's like, you don't have to fix it all on day one. And it ties into your message that you mentioned of just nudge one thing, then it'll nudge the next, then it'll nudge the next. Right. So the calorie thing, the gaining weight thing, I guess the stories that I hear from women who are really excited about learning that their body isn't going to balloon up when they do
Mhm.
this is, hey, I was patient. I took little actions that built into bigger actions. And it's classic habit,
Yes.
theory,
Habit
but
building.
we
Yeah.
just don't do it. We've got to
No,
just
we don't,
step
because we
back and
want
do that.
instant results. So we
Yeah.
think all
Yeah.
in, let's just do this, because just moving the needle a little bit doesn't give you enough of a reward most of the time. But if you can set yourself up beforehand going, okay, I'm not going to see these like massive changes, but in the long run, I will. I'll
Yeah.
see bigger change than had I just done everything all at once.
Yeah. And I suppose if you're doing things that are so little that you feel that you're not winning anything, that can be questioned too. Like maybe it's too little, or maybe you're not measuring it the way that would give you the win, right? Like if you don't go to the gym to burn calories. If you're looking at the calories on the machine or whatever, that's the problem. If you go in the gym to get strong, but then you're like, well, I don't get strong in one day. So what the heck is my win when I go to the gym? Well, maybe it's going to the gym. That could be the win. Yeah. But maybe that's not enough for you. Maybe it's the feeling of the accomplishment. Maybe it's that you logged your workout and saw that you just squatted 95 pounds or squatted at all because you've never done it. Right? You know what I'm saying? Like you got to find that threshold that's like, it was a little bit challenging. I did it. I'm super stoked. Next time I'm going to the gym again.
Okay, so give us an example of what is something going to be in this, like something that's going to be in your challenge that that is like what did you call it? The bailout?
Oh, I'm just starting to put this together. Okay. It's for like, it's for, yeah. It's going to be around the week before Thanksgiving, Thanksgiving here in America. Cause I know you guys have a different Thanksgiving. Yeah. But, it's going to be the week before so that you can finish 6 weeks out. And the idea is that you test it during the holidays. You test like having in your pocket these 3 strategies. Here's what I want to do. Here's what I probably can do. And then here's like my total bailout. I've just screwed up, not happening. What am I still going to do? And I still get a win. It's that mentality. I mean, I do have a document that's like, for example, you could either do your workout or you could shorten your workout to just 1 or 2 movements. Okay. Or you can move your workout to the next day, or you can literally just at home say, I'm not going to the gym, but I'm going to do something right here for 10 minutes, right? Like that's your bailout. Okay. Yeah. I love that. So you get it.
I love it because I've been doing this recently with myself because I was trying so hard to commit to lifting heavy 4 to 5 days a week, like really good workouts. And I was doing, chest and shoulders one day, legs one day, back one day, and and it was like fail after fail after fail. And then you just get discouraged and it's terrible. And I was like getting there like twice a week sometimes or 3 times a week. So I would do chest once a week. And I'm like, okay, this is not getting me anywhere. And then I'm like, I have to shift this and I have to work with what's going on in my life right now, which is I don't have a lot of time. So what can I do to get the most out of my workouts in the shortest amount of time? And I remember our past conversations with you. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I was like, okay, I need to do like super heavy, short, reps, 5 reps of heavy lifting. And I was like, I'm going to do it 3 days a week. I'm going to set a timer for 20 minutes. Yep. And I'm just going to go from one exercise to the next and do compounded exercises and call it a day and do that 3 times a week.
Exactly. That you have to find that point because otherwise you'll just keep beating yourself over the head. I actually just came out with a podcast literally yesterday from when we're recording this called 7 Tips to Save 200 Hours in the Gym. Putting together, like, after all these years, what do I really think rises to the top? Not just the same stuff everybody says, but there's things in there like, don't be scrolling your social media in your rest periods, but
I do that all the time. My husband's always like, I can't believe you do that. And I'm like, yeah, because it gets me there, you can give me your opinion on this, Philip. If I tell myself I can work while I work out, then I'm more up to working out.
That's called temptation bundling. So for you, that's a positive. That's a positive for you. Temptation bundling from James Clear, right? Where it's like put kind of a vice connected with the thing you want to do. Like watch Netflix on a treadmill is the classic one people talk about. Listen to a podcast while walking, So I agree. I was talking more about like when you do it in the rest period and it like extends your rest periods and you waste a bunch of time. I'm bad for that. Yeah. Okay, anyway, people can check out that episode, but back to the principle of all of this, there's like a bonus strategy here for people. It's not for everyone. It's for if you have a certain mindset. Like this kind of works for me as an engineer who managed lots of projects, and I would always try to get people to get stuff done on time. And so of course I would give them a stretch goal, right? Kind of like Captain Picard in Star Trek. I'm gonna lose people on this. Would say like, I need that fixed, and Scotty or whoever would say like, it'll take me 4 weeks, Captain. He's like, I need it in 2. He's like, all right, I'll get it in 1. And really it was only going to take him like 3 days, so you have the stretch goal. Okay. So for me, like right now in my life, when it comes to training, I'm doing a 5-day a week program, knowing that I'm probably going to usually have 4 days to work out. And that for me is a way to have planned failure from the start, knowing that like if I get all 5 days, awesome, but my brain's allowing me to get 4.
Mm.
It's kind of a weird, I know it's a little bit different.
Okay.
It doesn't work for
Yep.
everybody, but it's like that stretch goal where you go for beyond
You
on purpose.
overshoot and then
Yeah.
you're okay if
Yeah.
you underperform.
Yeah. But you got to be careful. If you're an all or nothing thinker, that's not a good place to start.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
And or we're not reverse dieting during this. Or what did you not reverse dieting?
Recovery dieting.
Recovery diet.
Look, recovery dieting is done in 2 places, in my opinion. One,
Okay.
if you've been dieting a long time, on purpose or not, many of you, it's not on purpose, but you have been, or if you're a physique competitor or whatever, you've done a diet or a fat loss phase and then you want to come out. The other is it's kind of the same thing you would do if you want to do fat loss and you have never gone through the process of preparing for fat loss the right way. It's really the same thing
Okay.
of recovering, getting the lifestyle pillars in place, getting the calories up. I want you to be at the highest amount of calories where you're not gaining or losing. Like we all want to be there, right? So, but you're not going to go beyond that. You're not going to magically burn more calories. But what you can do is have realistic expectations then for your fat loss, knowing that right away you're going to adapt. You're going to start adapting. And you go very aggressive at the beginning, you taper off a little bit. We've talked about this on past episodes, right? Fat loss phases. And you're in a healthy place because all the habits are in place to hold on to your muscle and to keep your sleep good and to help you with recovery and soreness with your workouts and blah, 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 right? So those are the scenarios you would use a recovery diet.
And just so people get an idea of how more on how to do this, are we increasing calories every couple of weeks? Like, what do you see working best as a timeline if somebody set out to do this?
It's going to depend on your history. If you've been dieting a long time, it's going to take, you got to be more patient probably.
Yeah.
But I would say within days of knowing your expenditure, which could be like 2 or 3 weeks after this process starts, you should be able to increase your calories to what you're burning right now, which hopefully is more than you were eating, right? But your metabolism hasn't fully recovered yet. So I do like overshooting 50 calories or so from that number right off the bat.
Yep.
You know, you're not going to gain much weight doing that, but you are going to give your body the chance to recover faster. And the science all shows when they look at physique competitors, the best recovery is the fastest recovery, period. Like just dragging it out simply means you're dragging out the recovery. There's no benefit to dragging it out. You're not going to gain less fat just by dragging it out. Right.
Yeah. Right.
So you recover as fast as you can. Then the question is, this is kind of more your question. How do you jump calories from then on? Well, if you're tracking with a tool like MacroFactor, it's going to automatically adjust to you. The problem with that is if you're not recovering as fast as the app thinks, it's not going to increase the calories. So I usually tell people every couple weeks, maybe 100 to 200 calories. You know, like you don't have to do it every week necessarily because you want to get in that habit of here's what I eat, here's what I plan to eat, my groceries and all that. And then you're like, okay, we're going to bump it. If you do that, you kind of stay ahead of your expenditure going up and it kind of goes up, your food goes up, it goes up, your food goes up. And eventually you'll see, oh, my weight maybe is starting to trend a little bit up. Okay, I'm kind of at my maintenance stop going up and you should be able to maintain there.
Maintain it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
I know. It sounds complicated. It's not really. It's just you got to do it once and you see, you know.
And you have a great group. Is this the kind of thing that you guys are talking about and that like you give people tools to do this? Because I think that some people do need help. If you have come from a lifetime, which I think most women do at this point, a lifetime of dieting, and it's scary. It's very scary to reverse or recover diet because you do see those pounds go up. And if you've been a slave to the scale for 20, 30 years of your life, that's very psychologically challenging.
I agree.
Yeah. So to have a community
support,
and some support and professional advice on how to do this appropriately so you don't suddenly put on 10 pounds, right? It's like, okay.
Totally agree. I mean, yeah, totally agree. And again, the gaining 10 pounds too, if you step back and think about your own past, how that has happened, it's rare that I hear that someone just gained 10 pounds in like a month, right? Like that it's usually that it happened over time. I usually hear like, 6 months later, I looked back and I gained 8 pounds or I gained 12 pounds. And I'll ask somebody, in fact, just this week, I asked somebody in our group, I said, okay, how much have you been eating every day? And has it been consistent? She's like, yeah, it's been consistent. I've been eating whatever number of calories every day. Let's say 2,200 calories. It's okay. You've been eating that consistently. You've been logging it. You've been tracking your weight this whole time, 8 months that took 8 pounds or whatever. Let's do the math. We did the math. We're like, okay, you've gained a quarter pound a week. Therefore, you've been in 100, I think it was like 166 calories a day. That's the number that comes to mind. I said, so knowing that, reverse engineering that, you have been in a surplus of 166 calories a day on average. So that's confidence right there to give you that number. And it kind of takes away the freak out a little bit, because then you're like, okay, now what do? We look for 166 calories in our meal plan every day and just kind of notch that down a little bit, and we should be better off.
Okay.
You know, I mean, again, I simplify it, but I do that on purpose, because when you have the numbers and the data and the confidence, it does become simpler.
Yeah. When it comes to recovery, what do you see helping the most, I would say, but also getting in the way of recovery? I get that a lot, that question, not even the question, the complaint. Women, especially in midlife, because their hormones start dropping, but I get a lot of this like, I'm not recovering anymore. I'm really sore. I'm not putting on muscle, even though I'm working out, or like things just start to shift and change. And I know that some of that is, of course, hormonal changes. But what are you seeing in your practice where you're like, this, you need to be, whether it's taking certain supplements, or are they working out too hard? Is that a sign of that? Are they going to need more protein? Like, what is driving that?
Yes. The answer is yes. No, I mean, sleep is usually a big one. Alcohol consumption, right? The having the wrong like approach to their workouts, you know, and hopefully I get them early. And I say it that way because I joke all the time about YouTube workouts, and no offense, because there's lots of great men and women who do strength training on YouTube that I'm friends with. So no offense, but it's more of a catch-all for the high endurance circuit style.
Oh, there's so much of that on YouTube. Yeah.
Stuff. And I get why you like it, because you've got somebody walking you through doing the videos.
Yeah.
It's kind of easy to get into, but actually it's hard and not fun. Most of them find that that's the case. They like don't look forward to. So it's those kinds of things that stress you out. It's doing lots of running and cardio that stress you out. It's, you're stressed out of your mind too. And it's like, nobody knows how to deal with stress. And we don't want to be doing all this mindfulness and breathing activities and everything. If we haven't done that before, it's hard to just start doing all that.
Yeah.
So you have to find the low hanging fruit and kind of assess those pillars and say, like, which was the one that it's just the easiest to go from a 0 to a 1, and a 1 to a 2. That's it, Karen. I mean, other than the tools like GLP-1, because you have ridiculous food noise, or hormone therapy because you absolutely need hormone therapy, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, those are going to hold you back. And we might talk about performance blood work. Same thing. It's like, there's certain supplements you maybe, if you're deficient in magnesium, that can wreak havoc in a lot of ways. Right? Vitamin D is huge. Vitamin D is a hormone, right? You know this. A lot of people don't realize they think of it as just a vitamin. It's a hormone. So simple things like that and understanding what you're deficient in can obviously be part of the solution.
Yeah.
Part of the midlife solution. Part of the midlife solution, which is your new name, right?
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, that's
I
right.
saw that.
Midlife Solutions. Just changed it. Yeah. Thanks for pointing that out.
Yes. I stay on top of the latest industry news by the big stars in the industry.
You do. I think it's so great that you listen to my podcast and you learn from me. It's wonderful. So I appreciate
That's the secret. That's the secret for all the men out there who are coaching women is you got to understand women. It's important.
How often should we be taking certain like creatine? It's always the rage, and the protein powders and amino acids, and like, should we be taking all of these things? Like, does that really enhance our recovery?
So I have a list of 6 supplements that I recommend to just about everybody.
Okay.
And beyond that, it's very individual. Ashwagandha is not on that list, but a lot of people benefit from it. It's not.
Yes.
So multivitamin is on the list just because, again, we're all deficient in something, and that tends to be like a blanket catch-all for nutrient deficiency. So I'll start there. By the way, Legion's multivitamin, the men's version has ashwagandha, the women's doesn't. I don't know why. I'm hoping they get it in there though eventually, because they're seeing it's just such a commonly needed thing in people's diet today. So multivitamin, omega-3 fish oil for sure, unless you eat enough fatty fish, and that's for so many reasons, including the biggest one, that it's anti-inflammatory. The creatine is on the list, and the big caveat there is the fear of gaining weight on creatine, because
Yep.
when you take creatine, you're going to gain a few pounds.
Of
By a
water.
few, I mean 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 10.
Oh my
I've seen
God.
weird responses to creatine. I've seen, and the biggest ones is usually in men. I'll see those huge jumps,
Okay.
and even they get freaked out. They're like, "Why is my?" And it's because they were probably dehydrated, especially like if a lean man starts taking it, they're super dehydrated, and now the creatine is sucking in fluid into the muscles, and now they're training, they're taking that, and then who knows, maybe they're on TRT too, and all of a sudden it sucks in all that fluid. It's not fat, it's just, the
But does it
glycogen in the
look
muscles.
like fat?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
Okay.
You might get initial bloat because your body is overhydrated, but
Okay.
then you know how the body works. When it comes to hydration, the body is adaptive. So, like when you drink a lot of water, your body is good at releasing water. When you're dehydrated or you drink alcohol, your body's good at pulling in water, right? So when you're taking creatine and you're holding all this water, you're bloated at first, and then your body adapts and it's like, okay, we need to release some of that,
Okay.
right? So after a few weeks, you probably look a little better because your muscles are fuller, men and women, a little bit
Yeah.
fuller and tighter muscles. So I always tell people, like, pick a smart time to start creatine. Like, either do it when everything's at maintenance and stable, and then you can just monitor, okay, my weight went up because of that, and then it stabilized, I'm good. If you do it while you're doing everything else, like the recovery diet, you might gain now in two places, like fluid just from eating more, and then fluid from creatine, you know,
Which
but it is,
I
yeah,
can't handle that. I'll be
right.
very honest. I can't handle oh, 2 pounds on the scale. Like I do, I freak
I
out and I
know, I
hate to
know.
admit it because I know better, but I am a bit of a slave to the scale. And I did start creatine several times and my weight went up and I freaked out.
Yeah,
But I remember
exactly.
JJ Virgin saying, she's got a new creatine supplement for women called Sheatine. And she was like, it's the muscle that's carrying a lot of the water.
Yep.
And she's like, who doesn't want a puffier looking muscle? She don't think those were the words she used, but is it really like mostly going into the muscle?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
I can't explain the
I
scientific
don't know the
mechanism off the
mechanisms of
top of my
action
head,
either. No.
but it's allowing your body to store more ATP and draw more ATP during training, which is adenosine triphosphate. It's one of the energy sources, the other source being glucose.
Okay.
And that's what's needed when you have a very short, intense burst of activity, which for lifting weights is what you're doing every time you do a heavy rep. So it effectively gives you extra reps and a little bit of extra longevity in that session every time you go to the gym, which is why it increases performance and hypertrophy.
So should we take it before we go to the gym?
Doesn't matter when you take it. So
Okay.
that I
Doesn't
get this
matter.
question
Okay.
all the time.
Okay.
Take it where it's convenient on a daily basis. Like I do it post workout. Some people do it with coffee. I know there's all this fear mongering. Don't take it with coffee. It reduces efficacy. Those studies are in the loading phase only. And once you're saturated after a couple of weeks, the rest of your life, it doesn't matter. Just take it with anything, 5 grams a day, and you're golden. Like it's fine.
Okay.
Don't ever stop because it'll eventually desaturate from your body. So creatine, the next one's magnesium.
Yes,
That's
I
like the
agree.
biggest deficiency across the
Yep.
board. And just get something bioavailable. Like I know there's all these fancy blends. I know biooptimizers, everybody loves them because it's like
That's
all
the
of
one
the
I
types
take. Yeah.
in one. And I know they're a big podcast sponsor too. So, but you can go to Amazon, or if you go to like Walmart or something, you may not find
No,
the type you
not
need,
gonna.
and the
No.
quality may not be good. So just like, don't be cheap about some of this stuff is my point.
Yep.
Look for
Agreed.
high bioavailability. So
Yep.
usually like 3 to 5 types of magnesium will cover you,
Yep.
but magnesium glycinate is a good one, and there's several
Yep.
others. Probiotics, I'm a big fan of. However, over the years, I'm skeptical of all the sources of probiotics because
Same.
many of them just come dead in the bottle, the
Yeah,
bacteria.
they do. Yeah.
I use seed, which is kind of a blend of pre and probiotics. But if you eat a lot of vegetables and fiber and fruit, from a lot of the experts I've spoken to, that covers a majority of what you need for your gut health
Yeah.
without needing to
Kind of
take a
feed the
supplement.
bacteria. Yeah.
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 Fermented foods, all that.
Yeah.
And then
I
the
like
last two are
Just
gonna,
Thrive.
yeah,
Just
sorry.
Thrive, I think,
Yeah.
is excellent. I'm
Okay.
going to have the guy that makes, he had part in that product. He's a gut guy. He
Yeah.
is brilliant, and I trust him so much. And Just Thrive has been awesome.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And I've had some people on the show. I had one guy, he's like an anatomy expert. He's a total nerd. He has a YouTube channel. He doesn't even like sell anything. You should have him on because he can go to town on the science of like your gut down to every gnat's ass
Yeah.
fact you need to know. Anyway, so and then the last two are
Okay.
vitamin C and vitamin D, which are very different, right? But vitamin C you don't hear a lot. I
No.
personally use ascorbic acid, just the powder form, because it's dirt cheap and it's perfectly good quality, and you could mix it in water. Makes the water taste a little sour, kind of lemony, like a gram a day. It's called high dosing vitamin C. I would give it a shot. Your body will excrete what it can absorb, right? And I've found myself and others, in addition to things like zinc sometimes, but even without zinc, it just seems to improve your immune system. Like you seem a little more resilient to colds and getting sick from your kid and stuff like that.
Yes.
So it doesn't hurt. And then vitamin D, of course, we're finding more and more evidence now. It's one of the most essential things you need, and most people are deficient. So figure out what your level is from blood work, and then usually 5,000 or 10,000 IU a day covers most people.
Yeah. And I am a big believer in taking the things that need to go with those supplements to work
To
optimally. Like
absorb them and up. Yeah.
putting vitamin C in like a silo, it really does go really well with B vitamins. And we should be, balancing it out. Or if you're doing a really good multivitamin and a really good multivitamin, I always say you should be taking like 4 capsules a day. That should be the recommended because you want the higher dosed multivitamins, not
And mine
just
has
like
8. Mine has
point
8.
zero
Yeah.
eight eight exactly.
Yeah.
Well, then
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
tells you that you're
Yeah.
taking
The
a
quantities.
good
Yeah.
multivitamin. If they're saying you need to take 8 a day, and so taking that with your vitamin C, then you probably have a lot of those cofactors that are needed
Yeah.
for optimal absorption and how they work properly in the system.
It's funny as a nutrition guy, I don't like talking about supplements and nutrients that much.
Yeah,
Being a
no, I don't
nutrition guy,
either. I don't either.
but it is really important, and it's a source of confusion for a lot of people. And
Yeah.
there's also a lot of fear mongering because there just is, right? But like everyone's going to have some little different cocktail of things they need to take. Some people may need some selenium, iodine to support your thyroid. There's B12. I take beef organ supplements just because I don't need organs. And so I figure there's some good stuff in there.
Yes.
You know
Yes.
what I mean? And like just good quality, find what works. I know we might have talked about performance blood work or not, but that's one of the reasons you would get blood work is to see not just your individual deficiencies, but the patterns between multiple deficiencies. Kind of like you
Yes.
said, combining supplements in your body, it works the same way. It's like if you are deficient in these 3 things, that can tell us from these thousands of calculations that scientists have done, okay, you've got an issue with this over here. Maybe you should eat more oysters. I don't know. I'm just telling you one thing, or you're not training enough, or you're too stressed, right? It can tell you all these things about your circulatory system, your brain health, everything else. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, let's get into that because
Sure.
that's another thing that's a source of confusion for many people is blood work. What should we be testing? What does the blood work really say? And so you really talk a lot about performance blood work
Yeah.
so that you can get a gauge of kind of where you're at.
Yeah. And I've talked to people like you, Karen, who are very much into that world of understanding what's happening in your body because our blood it's everything, right?
Yeah.
And performance, what I mean by that is performance ranges instead of normal ranges. So normal ranges are what you get assessed when you go to get a physical from your GP, right? And you get your typical labs, whether it's your blood lipids, maybe it's your hormones, whatever. This just as well as anybody that like testosterone, there's this ridiculous normal range that is far from optimal for men. Like if you're telling me 300 total testosterone is anything close to okay, that's crazy. But it's based on population averages. You can't fault them for that. That's how they calculate them. Maybe one day they'll improve. But performance is usually, shifted from that to what you need to thrive and be your best. And so performance, like a performance blood work, I'm partnered with Vitality Blueprint specifically, Dr. Andy Galpin. I know there are lots of other services like that, but the idea is taking what's been studied over the years with these patterns taking the calculations of the performance ranges as well as your lifestyle. So some of this is like an intake piece. Like, what are you doing? So we compare that with what your blood is saying with the performance ranges, and then say, what does that mean when your albumin is out of range? You know what I mean? And when your vitamin this and your this hormone is here, how does it all connect? So that's really what I'm getting into, because I found, Karen, that I can help people with like 80 to 90% of the life of stuff from lifestyle. And then the rest is somewhere else hidden in their body. And we need to figure it out.
And so what are we testing? What do you want to see people test for?
I mean, there's like 85 biomarkers. I should have come prepared.
Okay.
I know.
Oh.
Yeah. I, I
What
can
are
give you
some
the
of the
link.
big ones though that you want to see that would kind of tell somebody that, oh, you that like normal blood work, it all says, oh, you're in range, you're good to go. But are there things that you think like, oh no, like most people, they're out of range on this, and this has something to do with their performance? Or you talk about theory of constraints, like
Mhm.
is there anything in there where it's like this would affect you?
Yeah. I mean, I would say all of your inflammatory markers, right? So that'd be like monocytes, neutrophils, right? All that kind of fun stuff. All of your hormone markers. So everything, and I know cortisol is tough to measure in the blood. There's certain benefits to doing that, and others that are useless. But all your reproductive hormones, of course, your standard panels, right? Your lipids and your glucose, testosterone for men and women. Just the basic nutrients that you would get in a blood panel, like calcium, right?
Yeah.
What
Liver
else?
markers.
Yeah, liver markers.
So
Your
we have a whole, we have,
triglycerides, your vitamin
yeah,
D,
yeah,
a whole bunch of stuff. Yeah, I'm kind of on the spot here trying to think of because I've just gotten into this recently. Alkaline phosphase, right?
yeah.
Albumin, I mentioned, ALT, AST, your
Real
basophils,
livers, yeah,
all
liver
that stuff,
stuff.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
CRP, which is an inflammatory marker, interleukin 6, all that good stuff.
Homocysteine.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
we do all of this with all of
yeah,
our patients
yeah.
because it can tell you so much more than what you think it's telling you. And I learned that a long time ago where I was like, oh, your blood work, your basic blood work can tell you so much
Mm-hmm.
more than what your doctor's telling you, like, or what you think you're reading off your labs. Our main hormone coach, she does functional diagnostic testing, and she's a whiz. Like, she can take apart somebody's basic blood work and be like, oh, you're not doing this very well. You're not methylating. You're not absorbing your B12, and your vitamin D is that. I'm like, oh my God, they're so good at this.
Yeah, for sure. And honestly, I'll be honest, going back to how we started this conversation about what you don't know, that's not an area that I had gotten much into in my nutrition coaching career, right? Because you have to specialize in certain areas and trust certain people on their team. So recently kind of learning that there's been machine learning models and even AI now, not chatbot AI, but more of like the AI that's been around for a while that can, where you can train on real human data, real blood work data, and compare it to the conditions they have, and then see that, okay, this pattern of biomarkers could mean this over here. And then we can talk about interventions for those. So at the end of the day, what I care about is not so much me understanding all of the details of the blood patterns, blood marker patterns, but what are the best interventions when you see those patterns? Because at the
Yeah.
end of the day, I want to tell people what to do. Like,
Right. Yeah.
here's the thing you need to do, and make it simple, and focus on like the 3 big hitters or the 5 big hitters, not, obviously I'm going to have you strength train into all the things we talked about, but there could be specific interventions, like specific nutrients you need, right? Or, green tea extract could be an intervention. Believe it or not, there's things like that could be high ROI for somebody's blood work.
Right.
Yeah.
You mentioned alcohol, and then we were just
Mm.
talking about the liver enzymes, and I'll see women with elevated liver enzymes quite often. What is your take on alcohol?
So I have an episode coming out on this called the alcohol cancer cover up. And I don't know if you're aware, back in 2022, there was an alcohol cancer report that came out in the US that got buried. It got suppressed. Basically, it was going to affect the dietary guidelines for alcohol here in the US. Even the Surgeon General wanted it. And I forget who it was. Basically, they said, no, we're not going to do it. Politics. Okay. So I actually have an episode coming out on that. But the idea, the more and more I learn about alcohol, the more I realize there's a very, very low threshold to zero, basically, where it can be healthy in any way whatsoever. Like, it can't be healthy. It's a poison. It's a toxin. That's a fact. What I mean is you can have harm from a very low amount. So like breast cancer is linked to low amount of drinking. I think colon cancer is linked to a low amount. And by low, we mean like a drink a day, not even two. Yeah. So that's my thought on if you care about like longevity and health and performance. I'm not saying don't drink ever. It's your choice. I'm just saying, like, think about your goals and where they fit in. Now, short term, they affect your hormones. They affect your body composition. As you're metabolizing the alcohol, you're not metabolizing anything else, meaning you're probably storing a little more fat while you're metabolizing the alcohol. It still comes down to calories, but you're going to have a shift toward fat instead of muscle is my point, right? So if you drink a lot of alcohol, you're going to have a lot more belly fat, and we know this. So ladies, men, belly fat, significantly affected by alcohol. And I see a lot of scapegoating and a lot of excuses. And even in my own community, I challenge people when they say, I'm going to go on vacation next week. My whole family loves to drink. So I know not drinking is not an option. I said, no, stop right there. That's your choice. Okay. Yeah. Not drinking is an option. Maybe you can work on a plan that minimizes it or has non-alcoholic beer or whatever. You have the control. You have the efficacy. So don't give in to the things out of your control. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
that's my thoughts on alcohol. I'm quite negative on it these days, but I'm not going to like judge anybody for enjoying it.
Do you drink?
I do. Maybe once a month, I'll have one beer. Okay. So that's how much I drink.
Woo!
I used to drink daily. Yeah.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But it just slows things down. It makes me fatigued. It doesn't help with my results. I build less muscle. Like, why would I harm all that with drinking? You know, that's my opinion.
Yeah, there's nothing good about it. There's no way around that. And there's no excuse. Like there's not one excuse except I remember I interviewed this woman about this and I said, is there anything good about alcohol? And she said, it does numb you.
Okay. Yep. If you had to
right. And cut off your arm. Which isn't a good thing necessarily, but
I get it.
You know, it does. And it can help with that. Does it lower stress? Absolutely not.
No.
So the numbing is not lowering stress.
No.
And
now that we know it's got a link with cancer that's stronger than we thought, that's another thing in the mix to think about.
I know. And do you know how many women will say, I won't take estrogen, estrogen replacement therapy, or, God forbid they ever took it. Like they're like anti. And then you'll say, do you drink alcohol? Yes. And it's like, okay, well, guess what? That is going to raise your risk of developing breast cancer far beyond what estrogen ever would. Estrogen protects you from breast cancer in most cases. In most cases, not all cases, but in most cases, it's very protective of breasts, which people don't know. And it just makes me so mad that doctors will be like, oh, you have a family history of breast cancer? Oh, don't take estrogen. Do they ask the woman, do you
not to drink? Or
that should be the number one thing that goes out the door if you've ever had breast cancer and you don't want reoccurrence, stop drinking.
And just so people know why, it's like smoking. It damages your DNA. It causes mutations in your DNA, and that is where cancer comes from, right? It's the same thing.
There we go.
It's that's all it is. I mean, it's a very simple mechanism. And it also creates, allows toxins to get into your cells that don't necessarily make it to the liver, right? And that again, because it creates permeability in the cell membrane, all that kind of stuff. It's just horrible. It's like the more you learn about it, the more you're like, ugh. It's kind of like what we learned about smoking over the years when you see black lungs and all that. It gets scared straight,
Well, yeah, and it's frustrating to people like yourself and me who are in this industry and are like, and I don't, by no means do I judge. I was an alcoholic. Yeah. I know it's hard. I'm not saying it's easy to not drink. That I know 100%. This is not, it's much easier said than done. But you and we attract really healthy people, and they're doing all the right things. They're doing what we're telling them to do, and they're working out and they're prioritizing protein, and they're, gluten-free and paleo or keto, and they're like rigorous about it. But then they go out and drink alcohol every single
I know.
night.
I know. It's interesting.
And it's
It's
like,
a, you, yeah.
oh,
Or the people on social media saying seed oils are poison as they're drinking their wine. And I'm
right.
like, okay, there's degrees here, pretty much no food can be put on the same pedestal as alcohol, not even
No.
trans fats. I'll even go as far as to say that alcohol
Yeah.
is its own thing. It is a pure foreign body to the body. It's toxin, it's poison. That's what it is.
Yeah, and
Just
I think
factually is
just
what it
as we
is.
get older, oh my gosh, it's
Yeah.
like the number one thing women can do to improve their health and their lifespan is to quit drinking at this time.
Yeah, and
Your
there we
body
go. That
cannot
full circle
tolerate.
to the question, which is like, what are the big hitters? And that is a big hitter, and
That's
it's
a
a
big
low hanging
hitter.
fruit in a
Yeah,
way. Yeah.
yeah, I think so too. Okay, so I got some quick fire questions because I know you got to go. Uh, okay, if someone had minimal time, I'm asking this for myself, but for every woman out there, I mean, we don't have time these days. And that's usually the biggest excuse about working out is time and energy. What is the minimal amount of weightlifting that somebody can do that's still going to give them results?
5 hard sets per muscle group per week. So, however you can spread that out, which means you could do squat, press, deadlift, probably twice a week, and just do the math. Like you can figure out like which muscles are you hitting. But generally, it's five. 5 sets is like the minimum. That's
Okay.
it. Yeah. So,
Okay.
yeah,
So, okay. Well, I can do that.
10 to 15 is optimal. 5 is minimum. 20 is like I'm retired or I have all the time in the world.
Right. But it's much like you're going to gain more muscle if you lift heavier with less reps, correct? Or not necessarily.
Um,
Like, what does the research show?
Not necessarily. That's not a rapid fire question.
Ah, okay.
but you need to be lifting close to failure is really the main principle, right?
So
And
even if you did 15 reps, as long as the last
yeah,
couple were to failure,
yeah. If we're just talking
you're
about muscle, there's a
okay.
whole bunch of other stuff about strength versus muscle versus neuromuscular adaptation and all that we can get into. I did an episode called Strength versus Hypertrophy. If people want to look that up, that one is like my definitive one from this year that will literally explain everything to you. And I think it's actually kind of engaging. And I say that because some of my episodes are boring, and I think that one's kind of engaging. So I'm proud of it. Let's just say.
I'm going to listen to that one, and you're going to be coming into our group to do a Q&A soon. So these are the kind of questions that
Cool.
I
Yeah.
really want to get answered for a
Mm-hmm.
lot of our
Yep.
members, because we have a lot of women that are doing really well with their workouts, and they are like dedicated to lifting weights. And so being able to kind of take it to the next level, I think
Yep.
like if we're not just talking beginners here, we're talking advanced,
For sure.
people. Yeah. So I want to get to the nitty gritty of, okay, how
Yeah, I
can we
mean,
get
if you're asking just
more for
muscle, there's a
workouts?
lot more flexibility than if you're focused on strength, function, bone health, those kinds of things. It's different discussion. You know what I mean? Like there's overlap between them. That's why I like lifting heavy because that's where you get the overlap. But then you can do a lot in terms of rep ranges and still get great results for your physique, for your muscle mass and health.
Well, if we put aside I don't think about those things. Like I know it's good for my bones and I want to do it for that and for glucose and all of the good health benefits, but let's just talk about ego. I want to look good. I'm turning
Mhm.
50. What is going to change my body the most in the shortest amount of time to look good, look strong, show the muscle? Like
Yeah,
that's what I
you
want
just
to
have to
do.
have enough volume across your muscle groups close to failure. That's what it comes down to. So for many people, that's going to look like 4 days a week, something like an upper lower split or push pull
Okay.
legs type of split. I mean, depends on what if you want to do more of the show muscles up top or more of the glute muscles, you're going to have more leg or more pull or more push. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I do more pull because I'm trying to strengthen my back to help my shoulders, right? That's me now. So enough volume, which is that 10 to 15 sets a week, probably four
Ah,
days a week, 5 if you've got it before spine, and it's going to be a traditional, if you look at a bodybuilding type split, 8 to 12 reps for the most part, but in some cases 6 to 8 for bigger lifts, and you're good. It's the training hard piece that people don't get. It's the good form, training hard, and making the most out of those sets, because you don't need 5 or 6 sets. You need 2 or 3 good sets.
Okay.
Per exercise. Yeah.
Good advice, Philip. Always good advice. And your groups, do you give out workout plans? Is that part of your membership?
Yeah, we have I call them training templates. So they're
Okay.
we have like 9 of them now, I think, and we're probably gonna have another one for this new challenge that you can kind of mix and match. You can run it as is, or you can mix and match different exercises based on what you have, and like if you're going on travel or something like that. So we make it very flexible as opposed to it being just a fixed program.
And is it for beginners, your program, or is
Everybody.
it for
I've got novice, intermediate, advanced. I've got glute legs. We've got a time saving program. I've got a power building program. I've got a go for your max, peak out your PRs program. Yeah, a little bit of everything.
I want to join your group.
You're welcome in anytime, even just to lurk and learn.
Yeah.
We've got coaches in there.
I need guidance, and I know this about myself, and I've been slacking, and it's like you need somebody to tell you what to do. Even though I know what to do, I do so much better if I'm following something.
I feel you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
They hold me accountable, which is a benefit to me,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll let you go. I know you got to run. You got
Cool.
to take your children somewhere. It's always a pleasure talking to you. This is your
Likewise.
third time on the podcast, so
I
you're
know.
doing well. There's not a lot of people that get 3 interviews with me.
I'm honored. I'm very, very honored. I am.
Hey, I'm honored to have been on your show 3 times as well.
Thank you so much.
You guys check it out. Wits and Weights podcast. Like I said, he's in the top 25 and he's growing very quickly. So I don't think your episodes are boring. I think they're very engaging, obviously.
Self-deprecation. That's all that is.
Yeah, yeah. I'm going to have all the links in the show notes for where you can find Philip and where you can join his group and for his podcast and everything else. So check it out. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Truly a pleasure. As always, Karen.